Day 200 of the Ukrainian war map, also known as Russia's faltering invasion of Ukraine. Jozzy here, and today is another quick update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings of the day on the ground in Ukraine. And as always, I like to start off with the Russian losses, both personnel and the actual hardware. So we'll just jump across to the 11th as of today. So we are sitting on 52,650 military personnel losses on the Russian side. So that is just about a 400 personnel jump in the last day there. Then we go down to some of the hardware losses, so pretty big in terms of armored combat vehicles today. So a whopping 33, a real stupendous 18 in terms of tank losses as well, 4 artillery, and then we've got 3 aircraft and 1 chopper. I'll show you guys one of those aircraft there in a moment too. Now we'll switch over to the map, and the last 24 to 48 hours have seen some stunning battlefield developments in Ukraine, particularly in the northeast Kharkiv Oblast corner and a bit of the Donbass as well. Ukrainian operations in the northeast continue to exploit its penetration of weak Russian defenses. And the Ukrainian army has liberated well over 1,000 square miles of Ukrainian territory since just the beginning of September. And in some instances on the map, the Ukrainian forces pushed 40 miles deep into Russian-held Ukrainian territory. But what I'm going to do right now today is start off with the map, and I've already gone backwards with the date map, so I'll show you just for a bit of context. So I've got really mostly the Kharkiv Oblast here and a bit of the Donbass. This is the 8th, where you can see the Russian forces held that territory. Then we go further into the 8th, further into the 8th, the 9th, and we keep going, and you can see it opens up. So what we're basically seeing here is the offensive started from Balaklia on the outskirts, as you can see there. Then it moved across to Kupiansk, and then it moved all the way down to Izium there. Really completely liberated there, so that's really amazing stuff to see. And let's get into some of the big stuff that's been happening. So an advanced Russian Su-34 fighter plane was shot down in the Kharkiv region as well. Now, the wreckage can actually be identified as an Su-34 by the markings on the 2 large landing wheels unique to this type of fighter plane. Now, the current or really ongoing problem that Russian planes like this face on the battlefield is that they have to fly low to the ground in contested airspace and territory to avoid Ukrainian surface-to-air missile systems. But when they fly low to the ground, the problem then here becomes the Ukrainian ground infantry can fire just some cheap Stinger missiles at it. In other words, we have a very contested airspace for the Russian Air Force. Now, I'll just quickly pivot gears to a Russian governance point of view. The Russian Occupation Administration in Kharkiv had to evacuate from Vovchansk to Belgorod, so over the border. So they were hanging out here just at the border, and then they had to jump across the border back to the Belgorod city within the Russian Federation. Now, in terms of reinforcements that Russia said they would bring to the front line here, that really hasn't worked out. That hasn't happened. Although there were a couple of trucks that tried to get through. I've got this photo here of a Russian Ural truck, a 4320 driver. He didn't realize that the bridge over this R79 highway was actually destroyed. So yeah, a bit of this happened here. And there also seems to be a trend, really an ongoing trend of Russian trucks finding their way into rivers and lakes. In this particular case, into the Oskil River, which is right here along this line. So around, actually right here, this photo was taken to the east side of the river. We've got some Russian vehicles, military vehicles, going for a swim. Right, probably there. on the opposite side of Senkov. Now let's get to some of the fun stuff, what I like to call loot, what the Ukrainian forces received from Russia. I like to say Russia donated it to them. Now in total, the Ukrainian forces, they actually destroyed or captured about 70 pieces of Russian equipment during the recent Kharkiv counteroffensive. Ukraine only lost 2 sets of wheels, so that's pretty amazing. So that's a 35-to-1 ratio. That's just massive, unbelievable. But the fact that a lot of Russian equipment was captured in working condition, one could mathematically argue a much worse ratio for the Russian forces. But like this video here, we've got in Izium, we've got, I think it's 3 Russian T-80 tanks with various modifications. Just left behind in working order. Then we've got an even better video also in or around the Izium direction, which I'll just go across here. So Izium right here, 9 T-80s tanks abandoned, plus some additional other military vehicular units too. So this is such a massive score, massive loot. And I just might take this moment to say that it appears from a lot of the reports that there was newer equipment, newer tanks and things of that nature in Kharkiv as opposed to on the south side in, say, the Kherson counteroffensive, which I'll get into shortly. But that's good to see that a lot of them have been snatched up by the Ukrainians for sure. Then at Izium again, we've got some abandoned self-propelled howitzers, 3 in total were taken. Now, Russian donations like these just make me think Ukraine will have all the remaining Russian military equipment by the end of the war. It's just funny how it's going on, or at least the majority of them. They'll have more than Russia themselves. And for good measure, we'll have a look at some of the liberation photos of sorts, or the flags. So this photo is taken on the outskirts of Izium. And yeah, a bunch of Ukrainian forces with the flag there. There's truly countless settlements and countless photos of these now, though. Now, just quickly on the topic of Izium. It's been spoken of for some time now. It's been Russian-held territory for so long in this war. It's such a strategic city because it's actually a bit of a transportational hub for the rest of the northeast of the country here. So if we zoom in, we might even see some train lines, some highways that go in all different directions. And this fall of the strategically important city of Izium in Ukraine's east is the most devastating blow to Russia since its humiliating retreat from Kiev. And the fact that the retreat from Izium was announced by Russian sources before any word of its capture suggests that the city may have been liberated without too much resistance. And I've got an extra video here of the Ukrainian forces passing through. Something about that video seems a bit heroic. Oh, and something super funny. I should probably leave this until the end of the video where I always put some sort of a funny, but it does relate to this whole area now. So the Russian Ministry of Defense now states that the Russian military grouping withdrawal from Izium and the Balaklia direction was to reinforce the Donetsk and the Donbass region. So basically, Igor Konashenkov, a spokesman for Russia's defense ministry, said on September the 10th that Russia had transferred troops from Balaklia and Izium in the Kharkiv Oblast to the Donetsk Oblast. He claimed that the aim of the withdrawal was to achieve the main aim of Russia's so-called special operation, which is the capture of the entire Donbass. And this statement came only after the Ukrainian forces regained control over Balaklia, Izium, Kupiansk up in the north there too. There's an ongoing meme around the internet that says, this is the plan, everything's going according to plan, that sort of thing. But this explanation just reminds me of a 5-year-old discovering that they can lie for the first time, but the adults just see right through their lies. It's just insanity, really. And funny too. And Ukraine now has almost complete fire control, that is to say like HIMARS control, over the Valikiy-Luhansk railway connection with GLMRS, so HIMARS. I'm not even sure the Russians are going to try to stay in this area, but if they do, they will not enjoy it very much. And add to all that, in some areas from the massive push, the Ukrainian forces are only 15 miles from the international border. So that's pretty impressive stuff. Okay, and then now we move across a little bit to the Donbass, where the Ukrainian forces advance to the outskirts of Lysychansk and of the Luhansk Oblast. And we've even got some word of Ukrainian partisans able to raise the Ukrainian flag over Kreminna, which is right here. Again, this red signifies Russian-held territory, but it is out of date, especially when we've got counteroffensives up to the wazoo. And speaking of which, Russian occupiers and collaborators are now said to be leaving settlements in Luhansk Oblast in mass. Speaking of fleeing, we've got a video of Pushilin here. Of Donetsk, filmed a video while fleeing Donetsk, it appears. He is a pro-Russian separatist politician, saying that due to difficult circumstances or unusual conditions, they've got to change their game, or they've got to get out of there, that sort of thing. Now I'll move across to the wider map, where we'll go to the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast here. So there was a big explosion in the Dnipro city as a result of a Russian missile strike. Some windows blew up there. The Russian army shelled this area with six in total S-300 surface-to-air missiles. As a result, an agricultural enterprise was damaged, but that was no casualties reported. Then we need to get a quick peek of the Kherson Oblast and the counteroffensive going on here. So I'll give you a bit of an updated map because we can't see everything here at the moment. But have a look here, and we can see there's been quite more of a push in the midriff of the north bank of the Dnipro River there. Certainly still getting a bit of action here. Also, there was a Russian base that was destroyed near the actual Kherson area of the city in the last 24-hour reporting period there as well. And there was also some news of an explosion at a military enlistment office in Kherson too. Oh, and also at the Novokakhovka region near the dam here, very well publicized location. There was a big Russian ammunition depot hit last night, and the detonations were still going off 5 and 6 hours later. And it got bright and it was still going off. Now, as a result of the Ukrainian ongoing counteroffensive in this region here, the Ukrainian forces destroyed 8 Russian tanks, 17 armored vehicles, a Mr. B howitzer, and an all-land drone as well. And on top of that, they eliminated 80 Russian troops, which have been confirmed too. Then we move across to a little bit of news. So German Chancellor Scholz, pictured here, and I love this file photo that I keep using, stated that Germany is prepared to face the coming winter without Russian gas if Russia decides to halt gas exports to their country. Scholz said terminals have been prepared in northern Germany to import liquefied gas, and coal-powered plants are operating, and nuclear-powered plants in the south will be ready by early 2023 if necessary. And in some other news, the US will continue to limit efforts of Russia's attempts to circumvent sanctions, for instance, to stop them from purchasing high-tech equipment like chips, those sorts of things there, silicon. The US official also added that the already imposed sanctions are really already beginning to take effect on the Russian economy, which is struggling to sustain its weapons production. And in more news, 5 more grain ships leave the port of the, well, multiple ports, in fact, of the Odessa Oblast. They've actually got a few ports here, as you can sort of see. However, since the war isn't going to plan the way that Putin would have liked it to, he has threatened or warned about stopping the grain shipment deal just recently. The way that he stopped the deal from ever, well, commencing or letting the grain ships go out initially was having a bit of a military build-up in the sea over here, the Black Sea. Now, well, the Russian forces put lots of sea mines and things there. I don't think they'd have that capability now, though, to bring, because you can see this little red dot right here. That's actually the Moskva that was sunk back in April 15th by the Ukrainian forces. So I think he's only going to use this as a threat. I don't think that he can actually stop the grain deal now. And next up in news, this is a bit of an interesting one. So the Ukrainian Security Services, aka the SBU, sent out mass text messages to Russian soldiers located inside Ukraine with a number they can call to surrender. We have the audio recording of one such call. Now, my videos are getting pretty long, so I'll keep this translation brief and instead paraphrase it today about what this call is about. So a Russian soldier calls the Ukrainian hotline. He says he received the text about and said that he wanted to surrender. They ask him where his location is. He's actually extremely hesitant in the beginning because he thinks the Ukrainian forces will backstab him, so to speak. He kept using the word cut, like he doesn't want to get cut. I think it's an expression over there, to get backstabbed. And the operator said, hey, we follow the Geneva Conventions on safe handling of prisoners of war, unlike Russia, who doesn't really do so. And then he goes on to say it wasn't his choice. He had to go into Ukraine and fight. What else could he have done? And the operator goes on to say, yeah, that's all right, that's all right. As long as you haven't committed any atrocities or war crimes, we will take you in and exchange you at a later undisclosed date back to Russia. And then he accepts the deal. Now, the most fascinating part of all this to me is that Ukraine can send text to all of the mobiles in the region. I believe they use some sort of emergency security text protocol, so it doesn't matter what network it's really on, as long as it's connecting to a tower, to give Russian soldiers a choice to lay down their arms. How amazing is that? Of course, they won't all take it up, but I wonder what percentage will. 5, 10, 20, 30%? Given the changing war conditions, maybe even more. Only time will tell. Okay, and just a funny to round off the day with. Actually, these are a little bit more meme-like, so I'll just do two quick ones. So the first one, it's a little bit tasteless. I didn't actually create this, but I actually have created a lot of memes that I haven't mentioned on this channel. But everybody like you and me might be glued to our screens with counter-offensive updates. And the second one is just a bit of a funny video of something of a sports bar where it's actually the same meme or same joke in a way. So you've got the map there as well of the updates to the Kharkiv counter-offensive. So this isn't really what's on the screen, obviously. It's been superimposed. I didn't create this second one either, but I just find it to be quite funny and yeah, really, I guess, inspiring or motivational somehow. Okay guys, so that's about it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, hit that like button, show all those trolls in the comments by hitting that like button. You're overwhelming, standing up in solidarity for support for the Ukrainian people. And I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.